Hey guys, this is No Solution. I'm Scott. I had a couple of things I've been listening to talk about today, but I was kind of inspired to talk about a subject that's kind of been in my head for a while. From Alan from Let's Talk Metal, his video today about budgeting time to listen to things and trying to balance new things and old favorites, which is kind of a spin off of the heavy metallurgy topic about classic albums or favorite albums you don't ever listen to or rarely listen to. So I've kind of been in the space lately where, well, I mean, almost going on a year now, where I feel like I was turning music into a job. I would always be searching for something new or something that was new to me that I felt like I should be more familiar with that I didn't really know very well. And that led me to not listening to my favorite albums or things that, really gave me pleasure because I felt like, no, you can't listen to that. You know that album. You should be spending your time broadening your horizons or finding something new to talk about for a video or something. So that I really that kind of approach really burned me out and kind of contributed to why I quit making videos for a while. Um, but when I finally kind of broke that habit and just, I think it was like early Megadeth albums. I just all of a sudden one day I was like, I'm gonna listen to the first three Megadeth albums. I love them, but I haven't listened to them in forever. And I listened to them, and it was like, oh, you're supposed to listen to music for pleasure. Like it's supposed to be a hobby that gives you pleasure. It's not supposed to be a job, which is how I was treating it. Trying to always be searching for something new. When I mean, this is a hobby that you're supposed to enjoy, right? It's not supposed to be homework. It's not supposed to be another job. I'm not getting paid for this, so why am I not just listening to things I like? So while a lot of people, oh hello cat, I'm sure you can hear the cat down there. Um, while a lot of people I've seen over the years, when they say they're going to quit buying things, say I'm just going to enjoy the collection I have. I've actually been doing that. I've really been buying a lot less music. Some of my like absolute favorites, new release comes out, I'll buy that. But I really have stopped like seeking out a lot of things and just kind of been going back into my collection and listening to things that I like but just haven't listened to in years. Like an example is the band Three from New York State, progressive rock band. I've always really liked them, but it's been years since I listened to them, so I've been going back and listening to those. So that's been a lot of fun. So probably in the near future, there's not gonna be a whole lot of like new stuff that I'm going to be talking about. It's going to be more topics, I guess, and just older things that I've been enjoying and had something to say about. That said, I'm going to cover something new. I guess kind of a blind buy. It's only one thing, so I wouldn't call it like a full blind buy blasphemies episode. But I will call this blind buy bait. This is a band called Orzymoth, I guess. I'll leave a link below, or I'll spell it out. But there's really, Jesus Christ, cat, come on, get out. Um, I'm not editing that out. Whatever. So yeah, I think there's like one of their demos is on YouTube to listen to. That was kind of like part of the bait of this. As this is a collection, a compilation of all the recordings of this band. It's a German band from roughly 96 to 99. They released some demos. It's a project of, I don't know the guy's pseudonym, but Magnus Lundberg is the guy. If you've heard of him, it's probably from Syphilitic Vaginas, which is a band I've heard of, but I've never heard. He has a bunch of other projects. So Werewolf Records put this out in this like old school fat box kind of case. Not much information about this band. There are no reviews on Metal Archives for any of their stuff. You couldn't even find it, to listen to. So, Hell's Headbangers had a sale, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this. So yeah, for a fat box, there's really not much to see. Inside, it's just this like little 4-page deal with the demo covers and whatever information there was underneath here, which isn't much. So this covers, this has got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 recordings, some of which aren't even the band. There's a demo from a band called Zorn, which doesn't seem to be really that affiliated, but I guess Werewolf claims they are, so those are on here too. So anyway, as a blind buy, I will say this is the most cult recording you could imagine. Ruined only by the fact that it is now out on CD, so now it's commercially available and therefore is only for posers. But most of the songs, not to be mean, but they're mostly like 2-minute long segments, I guess, of a few riffs and then like screaming vocals. So I guess kind of punky, I guess, in their approach, very super raw, but I guess these are the best versions of any of these tracks that have ever been available. So strangely, like some of the earlier demos sound better. I don't know if it's just because of that whatever copies they had to work from. This is all atmosphere and vibes. Like I kind of enjoyed listening to it. Now, with a gun to my head, could I describe to you any of the songs in here? No, not really. I don't really remember them. I probably won't remember them ever. I'll probably listen to this like 2 more times and put it on a shelf, and it will sit there until I'm dead. But that was a blind buy. Yeah, it was bait, and they got me. So I don't know if you're into like super cult underground black metal. It doesn't get much more underground than this. I'd never heard of this band, and there's no information on them anywhere. So, Orzymoth. The comp is called Imperial Black Metal. Hell's Headbangers has it. It's on Werewolf Records. So there's that. All right, let's do this quick. So going back to listening to things I am familiar with and enjoy, and continuing with the Marillion live album retrospective that I'm kind of just doing just because I think it's fun. All the rest of this is Marillion, so if you don't like Marillion, see you later. So I showed this previously in like a box set thing that I was showing. This is it's called Curtain Call, a live archive, 1983 to 1988. There's the spine there. So it has art by Mark Wilkinson, who did all the early Marillion cover art, and then when Fish left, he went with Fish and did his cover art. So new artwork there, kind of incorporating the themes of the early Marillion albums that Fish was on, and then continuing on to CDs. Those are just kind of like snapshots of the art on the box. So what this is, it is a 6 CD comp, or 6 CD collection of 3 concerts from when Fish was in the band. And what was, at the time, this came out in 2004, what was special about this was there's not a lot of there was not a lot of officially released Fish live material at that time. There were a couple of like EPs and then like single B-sides, and then I can never remember the Italian name. The Thieving Magpie, which was the live album that was like the contractual obligation album they put out after Fish left. So this was part of the Marillion Front Row Club, which was a subscription service where they would release soundboard recordings of concerts previously unreleased, and you would buy, I believe it was 4. You'd buy like a subscription for 4 releases, and if you just sat there and did nothing, they just send you whatever the next 4 were. Or you could spend those credits to get ones that you didn't have, or if you didn't want the one that was coming out, you could skip that too. So whatever. it was pricey. Like I tried to look online to find the price. I couldn't find what it was, but I want to say it was around $100 for 4 releases. Probably more because it had to be shipped to the U.S. But this counted as 3 releases. So this was, even at the time, this was kind of an expensive set. Now it goes for, it's going regularly on discounts for 400, and people are trying to sell it for more, and I don't know if it's going to go for that, but holy shit, needs the attention. Okay, so let's go through I just want to go through quickly what's on here. Not that I would not recommend spending $400 for this. I do not think it's worth it, especially now that there are more Fish live recordings Fish era recordings from Marillion available. But at the time, this was a big deal. So, the first show is from Germany, October 1st, 1983. So this is historically significant because it's the only show with Jonathan Mover on drums. This was a period in Marillion's history. 1983, they ended up having 4 different drummers because they kicked out Mick Pointer, the original drummer, who actually was the founder of the band, which is kind of weird. But they just kept bringing in drummers. Didn't work. So this was the only one with Jonathan Mover on drums. I'm not a big drum guy, so I don't know. He seems fine. I don't know. Apparently their personality issues. So this is one of the last shows for the script for A Jester's Tear tour, their first album. So obviously we got most of the materials from that. We've got Assassin is on here from the next album before it had come out. Generally though, I don't think this sounds very good. It was a recording for a radio broadcast, and the keyboards are way too high. I mean, Marillion at this time was kind of more keyboard led than guitar, but the keyboards are just way too up front for me. And then the backing vocals are up way too high, and God bless Pete Travas, the bass player. He's a great backing vocalist now, but he was not at the time, and they really pump those up, and you can hear them way too much. So, yeah, this show, I don't know. I'd go like a 2 out of 5 stars. It's not one I go back to very much. There are definitely now, for sure, there are other recordings from this time that I think are way better. So we'll move on. Then the next one, there's no Fugazi tour recording in this one. We move right on to Misplaced Childhood, their third album. This is from Hammersmith Odeon, February 3rd, 86, which they played it like a run in January, and then in February they came back and played another whole run at Hammersmith. Like, they kept selling them out, so they kept doing them. So this is like the height of their popularity, obviously. So we've got the whole Misplaced Childhood album on here, and then a lot of selections from the previous 2 albums as well, and a great performance. In the liner notes, the band inside, there's like a little paragraph from each band member about the show if they have anything to say about it, and everyone agreed this is a great show and they remember it fondly. So as an example of a Misplaced Childhood show, this is a good one. And then the third is from the Clutching at Straws tour. This is the Milan show, January 26, 1988. I guess the band is not real fond of this period because they were not getting along at all, and most of the comments inside were basically like, yeah, they didn't really even remember the show very well. I believe Mark Kelly, the keyboard player, picked out this show to put in the set, and his rationale was all the shows are kind of the same as far as performance, and this one just sounded the best, so he just picked this one. And despite, that doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement, but this is my favorite of the 3 shows. I think it sounds great. I think the band sounds great. Performances are good. So they do quite a big chunk of Clutching at Straws, and throw in some Fugazi material. They do all the hits from Misplaced Childhood, and they do the whole second side as well. So the majority of Misplaced Childhood is on here too. They really do. They kind of skip over script material on here. They do Garden Party as an encore, but that's about it. But yeah, this is my favorite of the three. So that is kind of a peek into the Fish era of Marillion that I don't really talk about as much, because I do really prefer the Steve Hogarth era, but just kind of a collectible thing to show off here and talk about a little bit, I guess. So yeah, if anyone has any thoughts about like not having time to listen to your favorites because you feel like you have to listen to new things, I'd really be interested to hear about that, because I feel like I've kind of broken myself of it, and I do feel a lot better. I don't feel as burned out now. So that's about it. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And if you want my address, it's number 1 at the end of the bar. See you later.